Yesterday, on June 12, 2025, a profound tragedy struck the city of Ahmedabad. A day that began with the promise of travel and reunion ended in immense sorrow and loss. Air India Flight AI-171, a Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner, was scheduled for a long-haul journey from Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport to London Gatwick. The aircraft was filled with 230 passengers and 12 crew members, each carrying their own stories and destinations. However, these journeys were cut short in the most devastating way imaginable. The flight had arrived earlier from Delhi, and some passengers on that initial leg had already noted minor issues, such as problems with the air conditioning. The timeline of the disaster is chillingly brief, a testament to how quickly a normal day can turn into a catastrophe. At 1:39 p.m. IST, Flight AI-171 commenced its takeoff from runway 23. The aircraft was heavily fueled for its intercontinental flight, a detail that would later prove catastrophic. Mere seconds after its wheels left the tarmac, the flight crew transmitted a desperate mayday call to air traffic control. It was the first and last communication received from the cockpit. Eyewitnesses and amateur videos captured a horrifying sight. The plane, struggling to gain altitude, with its landing gear still abnormally extended at 400 feet. The final moments were of chaos and destruction. The struggling Dreamliner, designated VTANB, failed to clear the airport's perimeter. It crashed into the densely populated Meganinagar area, an urban locality just outside the airport grounds. The impact was catastrophic, as the aircraft struck a doctor's hostel and several residential buildings. The massive fuel load ignited upon impact, creating a ferocious inferno that engulfed the crash site. The last electronic signal from the aircraft was recorded at 1:38:51 p.m. IST. In less than 2 minutes from its departure, the flight, its passengers, and its crew met a tragic end. The human cost of this disaster is staggering and deeply personal. On board the flight were people from various walks of life, including 169 Indian nationals, 53 British citizens, 7 Portuguese, and 1 Canadian. Among the victims was the former Chief Minister of Gujarat, Vijay Rupani, whose presence on the flight added a layer of public grief to the tragedy. The crash not only claimed the lives of those on the plane, but also caused casualties on the ground. The final confirmed death toll stands at 265 people, a number that represents hundreds of shattered families and a city left to mourn its profound loss. In the immediate aftermath of the crash, a massive and coordinated emergency response was launched. The first calls to emergency services were made by terrified local residents who witnessed the plane fall from the sky. Within minutes, the area was swarming with the sirens of fire engines, ambulances, and police vehicles, all racing towards the pillar of black smoke that marked the site of the tragedy. The initial responders faced a scene of utter devastation: a raging fire fueled by jet fuel, collapsed buildings, and the scattered wreckage of the Boeing 787. Their first priority was to battle the intense flames and search for any signs of life amid the destruction. The scale of the disaster required a multi-agency effort. 6 teams from the National Disaster Response Force were quickly deployed, bringing specialized equipment for search and rescue in collapsed structures. They were supported by 2 teams from the Border Security Force and 130 personnel from the Indian Army, who helped secure the perimeter and assist in the rescue operations. A green corridor was immediately established by traffic police, creating a clear and fast route for ambulances to transport the injured from the chaotic crash site to nearby hospitals. Around 50 people, mostly local residents injured by the impact and ensuing fire, were rushed for medical treatment. The response from the government and aviation authorities was swift and decisive. Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed his deep sorrow and soon visited the crash site and the hospital where the injured were being treated, offering comfort to the victims and their families. The Civil Aviation Minister, Ram Mohan Naidu, also arrived in Ahmedabad to oversee the response and announced the formation of a high-level investigation. Both the Civil Aviation Ministry and Air India activated emergency control rooms and set up dedicated helplines to provide information and support to the distraught families of the passengers and crew, who were desperately seeking news of their loved ones. As the rescue efforts continued through the day and into the night, the grim reality of the situation became clearer. The focus shifted from rescue to recovery, as teams worked tirelessly to navigate the hazardous environment of twisted metal and smoldering debris. The Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport was temporarily shut down, with Gujarat's airspace also being closed for a period to manage the emergency. To assist stranded passengers at the airport, special Vande Bharat trains were arranged. The coordinated efforts of all agencies, though faced with an overwhelming tragedy, highlighted the dedication and resilience of India's emergency response systems in the face of an unprecedented crisis. Amidst the near-total loss of life, a single story of survival emerged, a miraculous but heartbreaking exception to the tragedy. Viswash Kumar Ramesh, a British national who was seated in seat 11A, was found alive in the wreckage. He was pulled from the debris with burns and bruises, but was conscious. His survival is a stark anomaly in a disaster that claimed 264 other lives. In a brief, poignant statement from his hospital bed, Mr. Ramesh captured the bewildering nature of his fate. "I don't know how I'm alive." His words underscore the sheer chance that separates life from death in such events. Tragically, his brother, who was traveling with him, was among the deceased. In the wake of the crash, official statements from the airline and regulatory bodies sought to address the public's shock and grief. Air India's CEO, Campbell Wilson, and Chairman N. Chandrasekaran issued a joint statement expressing their profound sorrow. They confirmed that the airline had activated its emergency response centers and was focusing all its efforts on assisting the families of those affected. As a measure of immediate support, Air India announced an ex gratia payment of ₹1 crore to the next of kin for each of the victims, a gesture of compassion in a time of immense pain. The airline pledged full cooperation with the investigating authorities to determine the cause of the crash. The Directorate General of Civil Aviation, India's aviation regulatory body, also responded promptly. The DGCA officially confirmed the accident and immediately ordered a comprehensive safety inspection of Air India's entire fleet of Boeing 787-8 and 787-9 aircraft that are equipped with General Electric engines. This precautionary measure was taken to ensure that no systemic issue was present in the fleet and to restore public confidence in the safety of these aircraft. The DGCA's directive signals the seriousness with which the authorities are treating the incident, prioritizing safety above all else while the investigation gets underway. International partners also weighed in, reflecting the global nature of aviation. Boeing, the manufacturer of the 787 Dreamliner, extended its deepest condolences. CEO Kelly Ortberg stated that the company was deeply saddened by the loss of life and offered to provide full technical support and assistance to the Indian investigation team. This crash is particularly significant for Boeing as it marks the first fatal accident involving the Boeing 787 since the aircraft was introduced into service 14 years ago. The world's aviation community is now watching closely as the investigation begins, hoping for answers that can prevent such a tragedy from ever happening again. The critical task of understanding why Flight AI-171 crashed has now begun. The Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau is leading the formal inquiry, with a high-level expert panel appointed to oversee the process. The recovery of the aircraft's black box, which contains the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder, is the most crucial development in this investigation. Found on the rooftop of a nearby hostel, these devices hold the key to reconstructing the final fatal moments of the flight. They will provide investigators with vital data about the aircraft's performance, engine status, and the conversations between the pilots, Captain Sumit Sabharwal and First Officer Clive Kundar. While the official investigation will take time, with a final report not expected until June 2026, several potential causes are already being considered by aviation experts. The Mayday call indicates the crew was aware of a critical emergency. The fact that the landing gear was still down suggests a possible struggle for control or a deviation from standard takeoff procedures. Theories being explored include a catastrophic dual-engine failure, a severe bird strike affecting both engines, fuel contamination, or an aerodynamic stall caused by a sudden loss of speed. The possibility of human error, though not the primary focus, has not been ruled out as a contributing factor. This disaster has sent shockwaves through the global aviation industry, particularly because it involves the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, an aircraft with an impeccable safety record until now. The incident immediately raises questions about fleet maintenance protocols, not just at Air India, but at airlines worldwide. It will inevitably lead to a renewed focus on pilot training for complex emergency scenarios, especially those that occur during the critical phases of takeoff and landing. Emergency response systems at airports located near dense urban areas will also come under review to assess their adequacy in handling such large-scale ground casualties. Ultimately, the crash of Flight AI-171 is a devastating reminder of the responsibilities that underpin air travel. For the families of the 265 victims, the search for answers is a deeply personal quest for closure. For the aviation world, it is a professional and moral imperative. The lessons learned from this tragedy in Ahmedabad must be translated into concrete actions that enhance safety standards across the globe. The legacy of those who perished on June 12, 2025, must be a future where air travel becomes even safer, ensuring that such a heartbreaking event is never repeated.